Hello, good people. Welcome once again. I think we are now starting. Thanks for coming. So I just want to introduce first the people who are behind this event. AWS User Group Zim is the first user group Zim in Zimbabwe, the first official user group for Amazon Web Services. And I myself, my name is Terence Mafura. I'm a DevOps engineer. And yes, I'm also doing AWS DevOps. And another leader, this is Collins. And he's also a leader. And there's Tapiona Shekanda. Yes. And there's Desiree. Yes, there's Rutendo and Yuda. Yeah. So AWS. So AWS has been pushing like for a rapid adoption of their services in like for developers, startups, enterprises, and whatnot. So through that, they are pushing for communities through about 400 user groups in the world now, and I think we're just one of the latest ones, if not the latest addition to the team. Yeah. Sorry, I'm used to wearing a mask, so so yes. So that's why we are launching this user group, and the aim is to just sharing information, providing learning paths, and of course adoption for developers, startups, enterprises as well. And yes, I think there will also be like issuing of credits, certification vouchers, and so we'll be doing a lot of meetups, physical and online. And also a special mention to Eight2Five Innovation Hub. This is the place we are in. It's quite a lovely place, right? Yes, so Eight2Five, powered by Mutual. These are the sponsors for the event, and Eight2Five, just an innovation hub as well for startups, entrepreneurs, and I think you'll be seeing the representatives as well if you like to talk to them. And also on Twitter, we are AWS User Group Zim, hashtag AWS User Group Zim, so if you're tweeting about it, on Facebook as well, and then there's Eight2Five Hub and Old Mutual Zimbabwe. So right now, our first speaker is Desiree. She's going to be talking about cloud operations. Please welcome Desiree.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Desiree. I am a DevOps engineer. I work remotely for a company called Alight. I'm also an AWS community builder in the containers category. I work a lot with Docker and Kubernetes. And I have 2 AWS certifications. I have my practitioner as well as my solutions architect. I'm currently studying for the SysOps admin cert. So the agenda for my talk today, I'm going to start off by just defining cloud computing and then go into explaining the technology that makes cloud computing possible, which is virtualization. And then we're going to discuss key characteristics and benefits of the cloud, like what makes a cloud a cloud. And then we're going to talk about cloud deployment models, the public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, and the differences between those. And then cloud service models, so that's your infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And then I'll end with a brief introduction to AWS. So cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet with a pay-as-you-go pricing. So instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers and servers, you can access technology services such as computing power, storage, databases, and on an as-needed basis from a cloud provider. So it's basically getting your computer services over the internet. So we need to define like the difference between cloud and on-premises. So with on-premises, you have all of your IT infrastructure hosted in your offices, in your actual, on your on-premises buildings, all of you manage all of that infrastructure. And with cloud, all of the infrastructure is hosted by the cloud vendor. So usually, data centers for cloud providers are in buildings like these. They don't have like any labels on them or anything. They're very nondescript buildings. And inside those data centers are just racks and racks of servers, as well as networking devices. They also have like backup power, cooling, everything that you would have in a normal data center, but on a really, really large scale. Okay, so cloud computing is made possible by a technology that is called virtualization, which is a fairly old technology. Virtualization is, it allows you to create multiple simulated environments or dedicated resources from a single physical hardware system. So it's like you're creating a virtual or software-based version of something. Okay, so let's say you have a Windows machine. So on your machine, you have your CPU, RAM, storage, and then on top of that, you have your OS, which controls how the applications use your hardware resources. So now, if you wanted to use Linux, for example, traditionally, you would need another machine. So with virtualization, you don't need separate hardware to install another OS. You can install Linux on top of Windows, Windows on top of Linux, or on top of Mac OS. Any combination is possible. And that is made possible through a software that's called a hypervisor. So a hypervisor is a software that creates and runs virtual machines. So you can have on one host, so one host or one computer can support multiple guest virtual machines. Okay, so this is your hypervisor. So the type of hypervisor that I've just explained, where it's installed on top of an existing OS, that is called a Type 2 hypervisor. And that's usually used for like personal computers. I don't know if you guys have used or know of VirtualBox. How many of you know VirtualBox by Oracle? Okay, that's a Type 2 hypervisor. And then we have this Type 1 hypervisor, which is what cloud providers use. So the difference between your Type 2 and your Type 1 is that the hypervisor in Type 1 is installed directly on top of the hardware. That's why Type 1 hypervisors are also called bare metal hypervisors. And examples of bare metal hypervisors are VMware's EXSMI and Microsoft's Hyper-V. So, okay, so AWS, the hypervisor that AWS uses is called Nitro. It's a customized version of another hypervisor called KVM, which is what Google Cloud uses. And Microsoft Azure, obviously, they use their own Hyper-V. So there's also this concept of multi-tenancy in cloud. And multi-tenancy in terms of cloud means multiple customers of a cloud vendor are using the same computing resources. So you can think of multi-tenancy like a bank, right? So like with a bank has multiple customers, and you go and you deposit your money. I have no idea what, I cannot access another customer's money, right? They can't access my account, someone else can't access my account. That is just like the cloud. You can't access what's in my cloud, someone else can't access what's in my cloud. And also the bank is responsible for securing and taking care of their infrastructure. I, as a customer, I am in charge of securing, things like my PIN number, my banking information. I'm in charge of that. So that leads me into talking about the shared responsibility model. So if you have your infrastructure on premises, you are solely responsible for the security. If anything gets broken, you have to fix it. Everything is your responsibility. With the cloud, that responsibility is shared. And the level of responsibility is closely tied with which deployment model you're using, whether it's IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS, which I'm about to cover in a few minutes. So with AWS, for example, AWS will always take care of securing their servers. They're in charge of their servers. They're in charge of all of the physical machines, and you are in charge of everything that's in the cloud. So you're responsible for security in the cloud. The cloud vendor is responsible for security of the actual cloud. Okay, so what makes a cloud a cloud? What are the benefits? Why would someone move to the cloud? And I'd like to ask for 2 volunteers. You don't have to say anything. I want someone who's representing, so I'm company A. I need someone for company B who's going to be like a CEO or founder of company B. Is there any volunteers? Okay, you can come up. You can come up and, sorry, what's your name? So Liberty is the CEO of company B. And then I need another volunteer who's going to be, act as a distributor. Yeah, you can stand, yeah, over there. Who's going to act as a distributor where company B gets their service from. Okay. So he is our distributor. I don't know if he works with IBM or, yeah, you can stand next to. I don't know if he works with IBM or Cisco. Yeah, I don't know. He's a distributor he's basically where company B gets their service from. So they are representing your traditional company that hosts all of their infrastructure in-house. As compared to me, company A, I'm all in the cloud. So, okay, so one of the benefits, these are some of the benefits and key concepts of cloud computing, pay as you go. So let's say, for example, okay, company A and B are in the same industry. Okay, company B is doing really well, we're doing really well. They've just launched an application that's doing really, really well. So they're getting a lot of users, their servers are getting a lot of pressure, so they need to increase their capacity, right? They need to buy more servers. So what does Liberty do? He now has to approach his distributor and say, hey, I need more servers. Can you give me a price? Maybe Liberty says, no, that price is too high. What's the price in US dollars? That time the price was already in US dollars. Okay, he has to go through a lot of motions to increase his capacity, right? Whereas me, company A, my application is doing really well. I need to provision more servers. All I do is go into my cloud, log into my console, do a few clicks, and within a few seconds or minutes, I have my servers, right? I get my application up and running, users are happy, or I can find out from my users, if I have a new application, do they like it, what don't they like? I get feedback, work on that feedback, redeploy the application. Meanwhile, Liberty, company A, he's still trying to provision servers. He's still trying to get servers, right? So with pay as you go, okay, so he's got a lot of upfront costs as well. For me, I only pay for what I use. That is the consumption-based pricing. I only pay for what I use. If Liberty overcapacitates, maybe he buys too many servers, they're sitting there, maybe they don't get used up, he's already wasted money buying the actual physical servers. They're using electricity, they're using up all of these resources, but I only pay for what I use. Once I finished using my servers, if I don't need them anymore, I can just terminate those instances on demand as well. So as soon as I need, so on demand, okay, so sorry, you can go. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So with on demand, when you want to provision a resource within the cloud, it's immediately available to you. I don't have to go through this whole process that Liberty has to go through, approaching his distributor. Maybe he even goes through a tender process. I don't know what the internal process is at their company. But for me, since I'm based in the cloud, I get what I want when I want, and I deploy it as I want it. And then also there's this concept of scalability. So scaling is the process of allocating or deallocating resources to support desired workload. And there are two types of scalability. There's vertical scaling. So with vertical scaling, you're just adding or reducing your RAM or your CPU of the actual instance. With horizontal scaling, you are adding more instances to your fleet. Okay, yeah, so with scalability, okay, yeah, it's fine. So with we also have high availability, which is the ability of the system to be up and running with very little downtime. Services in the cloud are replicated across different zones and regions. So when one zone goes down, you can seamlessly switch to another zone. As opposed to company B, if something goes wrong, if there's an earthquake, a flood, something goes wrong at their data center, it's a disaster basically, because they only have their data in-house. They don't have, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a startup or a small company. They can't afford to have multiple data centers in different geographical zones, but that's really easy to do if you're in the cloud. And then there's also this concept called agility, which refers to the ability to rapidly develop, test, and launch applications that drive business growth. So developers can test new ideas and design application architecture without lengthy delays, like what's happening at company B. So this is basically company B. They have a lot of limitations, which also spills over to maybe to the developers. It's hard for them to experiment. If you want to experiment, you know, and you need more capacity, you need more servers. It's a really long and expensive process. Whereas I am in the cloud, maybe I can spin up a container, maybe I can just spin up another server, and once I'm done with my experiments, once I'm done with my tests, I can just tear down that infrastructure. So, so these are additional benefits. So my company is definitely more customer focused than company B, because I can get to my customer faster, I can get their feedback faster, use that feedback to improve my application, whilst company B is still going through a really long process. And maybe the customers are not satisfied, and it just takes a long time to provision anything with company B. I can go global in minutes. Cloud provides lower latency and a better experience for your customers at a minimal cost. And also I can stop, there's no, there's a lot of guesswork with traditional IT infrastructure, like at company B, they have to do a lot of guesswork in terms of how many servers do we have to buy? Is that going to be enough? There's just a lot of guesswork. And cloud takes out a lot of that guesswork. I also benefit from massive economies of scale, right? So an interesting fact about AWS, since AWS started in 2006, they've lowered their prices 67 times. I don't know if there's any service provider that you know that's lowered their prices. Yeah, most prices actually go up. With AWS, prices have gone down 67 times since. So thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I just quickly want to get into cloud deployment models. Okay, so there's a public cloud which is open for use by the general public. So you and me, basically, when you open your AWS account and start using their services, you're using the public cloud. And then there's a private cloud which is provisioned for the exclusive use of a single organization. So they have their cloud, which is like more used, that is used in-house, like within their own departments. It's not open to the public. And then there's a hybrid cloud, which is the use of a public cloud plus a private cloud. So with the hybrid, so let's say you have, so with hybrid, a company can have their own public cloud where they control all of the infrastructure. And then in terms of using the public cloud, let's say they have a sale or they have something that they need to provision more resources. They would go to the public cloud, provision more resources in the public cloud, and then once they don't need that capacity anymore, they can shut down their public cloud and continue just using their private cloud. Yeah, so public cloud offered by third-party providers, it's available to anyone. Your private cloud, basically for companies that want greater security, right? And with the hybrid cloud, it's a combination of both private and public cloud. Okay, and then I just want to end off with the cloud service delivery models. So there are three main cloud service delivery models, which is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. That's infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. With IaaS, this model offers you the highest level of control compared with, it offers you the highest level of control. With a platform as a service, makes the process of developing and deploying applications simpler and more cost-effective. And a SaaS is basically a ready-to-go application. So with traditional IT, you manage everything, right? You manage your servers, your storage, you manage everything. With infrastructure as a service, you only manage this top part, and the cloud vendor is still managing all of the physical hardware for you. With platform as a service, your cloud vendor manages all of these for you. They manage your OS, your servers, your virtualization, your storage. All you have to worry about is your code. With software as a service, cloud vendor takes care of everything, right? It's basically a plug and play. Okay, I think we can skip it since I'm a bit out of time. Okay, so I'm just going to give a brief introduction to AWS. So AWS is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform. They have more than 200 fully featured services with data centers globally. So these are some of the enterprise customers of AWS. You have your Netflix, your Coca-Cola, Pinterest, Slack, all of those. Most of the big companies use AWS. And AWS has the biggest market share. I think currently they have 34% of the market share, followed by Azure and then GCP. So this is the global infrastructure map. So they have, AWS has 87 availability zones in 27 regions around the world. An availability zone, it's a data center within each region. Regions usually have about three AZs. Okay, I think. So AWS, I just want to quickly touch on AWS in Africa. So there's one region in Africa, which is based in Cape Town. They have 3 availability zones. We also have 3 edge locations, one in Cape Town, one in Joburg, and one in Nairobi. An edge location is a site where CloudFront, which is AWS's CDN, where they use to cache copies of your content. So some of the African companies that use AWS, ABSA, they use SageMaker, Standard Bank as well. Pick n Pay recently migrated all of their infrastructure to AWS. That was just the announcement. And then we're just going to end off with this video of, I don't know if it'll play. Okay, it's okay. It won't play, but I'm out of time anyway. But yeah, thank you. I'm going to Sorry for going over my time. Yeah, sorry for going over my time. I'm going to hand over back to the MC.
Thank you very much, Desiree, for the for the presentation. I think we can take just 3 questions before we move on to the next speaker. Anyone with questions about the cloud computing concepts? No? No, okay. Okay, you can always ask it as we go. So I think now that we have all this out of the way, the cloud computing concepts, we have another interesting one, AWS certifications, training, and training path, and training resources. And this one is going to be presented by Yuda. Please welcome Yuda.
Morning, everyone. You guys look very scary. Please don't scare me. It's very scary to be up here in front of you. So smile so we can all have a good time. My name is Hilda Machando, and I'll be taking you through the training part and certification presentation today. So just a brief introduction about myself so we all know each other. I am a cybersecurity analyst for Old Mutual. I've been with Old Mutual for the past 3 or so years. I have a degree in computer science, and I'm currently doing my master's in big data analytics. I have 2 AWS certifications, and the next one I'm going to be writing is the security specialty. So if you want to help me study, link me afterwards, but wish me luck. And my favorite color is pink. There's no one wearing pink here today, unfortunately. I was hoping to have that. All right, so let's dive in it. So we've heard a bit about the history about AWS from Desiree in the end of her presentation. And we know it's the hottest thing on the market right now, especially for tech people who are looking to venture into the cloud. But I know, I've seen from my friends, I know from other tech people, we sort of shy away from getting certified because we're like, there's no point. Usually the certification and the people who get the certifications don't relate. Most of the time, it's a matter of how well you can cram. You find Hilda, who's openly admitted that she hates code, has a Java certification. I don't even know if that's the one that's object-oriented or that's the one that has classes, but I will be certified because I managed to cram. But one thing that AWS makes a point is to try to make their certifications easier if you have hands-on knowledge. So, of course, the gurus out there, we all know them who can cram for everything. But AWS makes it a point that if you've actually worked with the infrastructure before, everything will come easier and you won't have so much stress writing them. So there are 3 main competency areas that AWS will test you on when you write any of their certifications. Number 1, you have to actually understand AWS in the context. So you have to understand what's a cloud in the first place, and the AWS ecosystem, how is it set up, how does it work? You have to understand that. Number 2, they're going to ask you about the AWS context. So they want you to know the terms that they use. If you've used a lot of the cloud providers, if you used Azure before, you note that a lot of the technical terms are totally different to the ones that AWS uses. So this is something that they want you to be able to grasp and to use. What's an S3? When we say EC2, what are we talking about? And then they then want you to be able to demonstrate this capability. So yes, you know all of these things. Can we test you on them? Or can you apply them in real life? So basically, their main goal there will be if you've actually ever had an EC2 server running and you forgot it over the weekend and you came back on Monday and your life is hard, then you would definitely be able to pass the certifications because you know the cost of what you're doing on the cloud instead of just theoretical use. All right, so breaking down the certificates, we have 4 levels as of April 2022. it offers 12 certificates, actually, my bad. I forgot the newest one, the SAP. So the first certificate that we have is the foundational, which is cloud practitioner. And then we have 3 associate levels. And then we have 2 professionals. And then we have 6 specialty certifications. So the foundational certificate, that's the cloud practitioner. I didn't go as much in depth over here because it's basic AWS knowledge. So that one is for someone who works on the cloud and not in the cloud. But if you're planning on getting more certificates, then yeah, definitely taking the cloud practitioner will be a good starting point, as it teaches you all the basics that we were talking about. Step number 2, it will teach you what EC2 is, what S3 is, and then you can move on. All right, so the first one I'm going to go over is the Certified Solutions Architect Associate. So that's the first of the associates, and it's basically the easiest. If you've taken any certifications, you know of the associates, so it's one of the easiest ones. It focuses a lot on the core AWS services. So you note amongst the associate level certs, the Certified Solutions Architect one is the one that goes more in depth about all of AWS. It's less specialized than the rest. And then we have the Developer Associate. This goes deeper into your services like your Dynamo, your Elastic Beanstalk, etc. Just to note that the Certified Solutions Architect, everyone says it's easy. So everyone usually. Oh, is it? No, but then technically it's kind of easier than the other ones. And also it gives you a broader overview. So, yeah. All right, and then we'll move on to the SysOps admin. So it's very misleading. I'm sure everyone sees SysOps and assumes, oh, maybe I don't need to take this, but anyone can take this certification, especially if you are planning to actually run things on AWS or oversee people who run things on AWS, then this is definitely a certificate for you. And then the last one is now we're going into the professionals. So just a disclaimer before I move on. AWS certificates are hard. The professionals are harder. So this is not child's play. I can see a couple of faces here. I don't play FIFA myself, but I know a lot of guys like to play FIFA. And there's the professional level where everyone is always crying. Yeah, this is like, what's the other level after that? Legend. So the professionals are like the legend level. So this is not child's play. We're going deep into it. So the first one that's recommended is the DevOps engineer. It goes more into specific areas. So it's not as broad as the second professional one. So it looks at services like CloudFormation, looks at services like OpsWorks. And yeah, you might think it's a bit, again, specialized, but if it's advisable that if you're venturing to the professional certs, you take that one first, because we're going into solutions architect professional, and let me tell you, that is something else. That is something else. You don't want to just like go and dry into a solutions architect professional. You don't want to waste your money. So like all of them, they're not to be taken lightly, but the solutions architect is generally regarded as being harder because just as the associate, it encompasses more, it's a broader spectrum of AWS, less specialization. And then after that, we have the specialty certs. The first one is the advanced networking specialty. So this is focusing on you setting up the AWS networking like you would on-prem. So if you have a networking background, this is definitely for you, but they do make it a point to teach everything from scratch, so don't be disheartened if you don't know anything about networking at all. You'll be able to figure out how to network on AWS just by making use of this certification. As we go on, just like the pro-level certifications, the specialties are hard too, but they're generally easier to master because they focus more on exactly like the title name rather than what like the professionals. All right, so the next one is the certified data analytics. This is basically testing your ability to do data analytics in the cloud. It's testing if you know the cloud services that AWS offers for data analytics, if you know how to set them up, if you know how to visualize data in the cloud. So definitely take this if this is your chosen career path, data analytics. And then the next one is the certified security specialty. This is a very broad. I'm sure if anyone has done security ever, they know even on-prem security is a broad subject because security is in everything, in every single aspect. So you're obviously going to be questioned on a lot. So that means there's a lot more content for this one, but not to worry. It can definitely be passed. All right. And then we have the machine learning specialty. So this one is going to ask you how to, again, perform data collection and analysis in the cloud. So it's, we'll ask you about tools to build data analytics systems in the cloud. It will test your knowledge on the life cycle of collecting, storing, processing, and visualizing your data in the cloud. And then we have the certified database specialty. Now for this one, it's a very sort of technical domain, and it's best recommended if you have past knowledge or prior knowledge of databases on-prem, because it's going to test you on things that you're expected to already know. That's unfortunately the thing with the certified database. It expects that you know about databases already, so they're just going to jump right in, and you're supposed to not drown. So again, I forgot to add in the SAP, the new one that was added in April. So the SAP is basically if you can run in SAP on the cloud, if you can administer one and the services that you'll be using it. It's fairly new, so we don't have as much data on how hard it is or how easy it is, but like all the specialties, just expect it to be like the other ones. Okay, before I proceed, I'm sure that was a mouthful, we're all tired. Just a random survey. How many here already have at least one AWS certificate? You can just raise your hand. One. Okay, how many have at least two? Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm gonna pick the two of you because, all right, so which one, of the two that you have, which one do you think was the hardest? Solutions architect, okay. And which one do you think was the hardest? Solutions architect, okay. So I'm assuming you took the cloud practitioner and then solutions architect. Yeah, if I ask, I'm sure everyone took the solutions architect first. Yes, okay. So you realize it's a trend. It's sort of a cheat code that everyone uses. You take the cloud practitioner and then you take the solutions architect. It's a known cheat code. And look, everyone is here for it because we're trying to make life easier. No one wants to make their life harder. So I've just tried to chart a path because I know everyone always asks, I want to certify, but I don't know what I should take or when I should take it. And to be completely honest, it really depends on your end goal, where you want your career to go. But there are some people out there that just like to rack up the certifications, and that's okay too. So I've charted a recommended path depending on you just wanting to rack up all the certifications as you go. So the first one would obviously be the cloud practitioner. So this is a starting certification for everyone. Even if you have no tech knowledge, even if you have no background knowledge of the cloud itself, AWS, if you take the cloud practitioner, it will give you some basis to start on. Even if you do have a tech background, it will give you that knowledge that we're talking about, to know the terminology that AWS uses, to know what they focus on, what they think is important. And then after taking the cloud practitioner, like we've seen, a lot of people usually go for the solutions architect. They did change it in August, so the one that maybe we all wrote was a bit easier than the one that's here now, I think. But we'll usually take the solutions architect route. It has a lot of content. That's why a lot of people also choose it, because it gives you a broader overview than if you take the DevOps first, or so you get a larger overview than the rest. After the solutions architect, it's now up to you if you want to rack up the rest of the associates, or you're just like, me, I'm a professional, I'm going. So if you decide to take the rest of the associates, then definitely take the developer first. So I sort of ranked these according to difficulty. Everyone says the solution architect is easiest, followed by the developer, and then last, the sysops admin. So you can just follow them according to that order, or according to wherever you want to end. But if you are planning on writing the professionals, then I definitely recommend that you have at least 2 of the associates under your belt, so that you don't cry after having wasted $300. After you're done with the associates and you're going to the professionals, at this point you're a guru and you don't need my learning path anymore. You already know what you want to do. But it's recommended that you take the solutions architect professional first. Again, because it's broader. So it gives you a wider view of AWS itself gives you free material. You can read on your own, you can watch videos. We all know Indians. If you've done tech, then you know Indians will take you through anything. So don't waste your money on these other services. Just, go on Google. If you actually go on the AWS page, they have a lot of resources, free resources, even practice exams, etc. Make sure you make use of their white papers. No matter what other medium you use, maybe a day before the exam or etc. when you're cramming, just browse through those white papers, because they could really be your saving grace. They serve actually other courses or sites. Udemy has a very, very great site. I would definitely recommend it. If you do end up using Udemy, please check out Stephen Marek. He is very good. He's like, if you remember, there's that Indian guy who takes data structures on YouTube. That's like Stephen Marek for AWS. You definitely want to use that guy. And then we have a cloud guru. I personally really like a cloud guru because it also gives you an app, and it has inbuilt labs, so you can study on the go, download videos, listen to them when you're doing whatever you're doing, and then do the labs within a cloud guru, so you don't waste your money. But this is unfortunately a paid service, so just watch out. And always remember, Google is your friend, guys. So you find everything on Google. We're all tech people here. We know how powerful that search engine is. So make use of it. And then, okay, I think we can move on. All right, finally, the resources. Oh, sorry. Finally, the freebies. AWS wants you to certify. That's one thing that we should take into mind. They are the hottest thing on the ground right now, but they're only as hot as the people who have AWS certifications. So they want you all to join. That means they will give you freebies all the time. If you've written an AWS certification, you probably know that they will give you a 50% off voucher for your next one, as long as you pass the first one. And then you also get 50% off on your next recertification. So those are definitely things to take advantage of. Also, we currently have the 25% off on the solutions architect if you register between today and the 5th of November. So there's a promo code. Apologies, I forgot to add it here, but you can talk to us in the front, and then we can give you that promo code for 25% off. And then they're always running challenges, and right now there's the specialty challenge. So if you join it now, up until, I think, beginning of next month, you get 50% off your specialty exam, and you have up until March to run. So just play around with the site, maybe register for some of the newsletters, etc., and you get a lot of news of these promotions. Like I said, they want you to write, so they're going to make everything free. That's the alarm of death. But I'm done, and thank you for being such an attentive crowd. Very surprised I didn't lose my voice. All right. So just as a closer, all right, if all of you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to us about the promo codes, about where to find material. The whole point of the user group is to make it easier to access AWS resources. So look out for our Twitter page. We'll definitely be posting more material there, or reach out to us. We're very willing to help. So, just to see if you guys are paying attention, I have a couple of questions. First, does AWS offer free certifications? And also, let me note this. There are a lot of prizes to be won today. Like, a lot of very nice prizes. Those vouchers, if you're planning to write a certificate, so, be nice. Does AWS offer free certifications? Yes. Perfect. So you're going to get a voucher. I want to be Oprah today. Make me Oprah. Everybody gets a voucher. Yes. Perfect. There's a voucher. All right. And all right. So this was Kosi on Zoom who was asking those questions. So we're helping everyone. Also, by the way, you guys are on TV, so we're famous. Okay, and then how important is AWS in the industry right now?
It is the largest market share of all the cloud providers. I think 34%, if I remember correctly. So it's very important for us to learn.
Thank you. Thank you.
One funny fact you would find out is majority of the Microsoft workloads are running in AWS.
The mics don't like me, but I'm sure everyone can hear me. How much is the cloud practitioner exam? Yes. There we go. Everybody gets a voucher. Please, I've always dreamed of being Oprah. All right. How many professional exams do we have? Yes, Liberty. 2. We have 2 professional level exams. Gets a voucher. I hope you guys are writing this down so that people don't miss their vouchers. All right, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be Oprah. If we do forget your name, please just come up to us afterwards so we give you your vouchers. Everyone is getting free things today. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilda. That was really awesome. And I think now we can just take a 10-minute break while we are waiting for our guest. We have a guest speaker. I will introduce them just after the break. So you can just, mingle. And there's water over there. And also, I forgot about the bathrooms. There's that door that second door. The ladies, it's on the right, and the gents, you just go straight. Just after the foyer, I think there's the first door on the right. That's the gents. Okay, thank you. I'll be talking about, I think, that and other things. So please welcome Mr. Mrizwa.
Thanks, Terence. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's been said, my name is Takudzwa. I work at Old Mutual. So I don't have a presentation because I'm here to have a conversation with you guys. So the things I would like to talk about is why. Why are we on this journey as Old Mutual on this journey? What success looks like. I mean, we don't just chase technology for the sake of it. That what is the latest buzzword when we chase after like metaverse, Web 3.0, cloud, and so on and so forth. We actually have specific business outcomes that we're working towards. So I'll cover a bit of that. Yeah, I already said what our experiences have been and if we are winning or not. Directionally, I think we are winning, but yeah, more of that later. Right, so Hilda asked the question that I was going to ask. How many people were certified? Mine was slightly different, Hilda. I was going to ask, how many of you are actually good on AWS? Or worse still, how many of you consider themselves experts? Show of hands. Don't worry, I won't ask you any questions. I just want to see. Nice. I like the confidence. Great. So yeah, we can have a deeper conversation. It's good to see we've got experts in our midst as we got into this conversation. So I'm actually happy and excited to be invited to this user group because when I was sitting there and you were introducing the user group, my mind was racing. I was thinking, so what is the next step? Is it the Bulawayo chapter? Is it the Midlands chapter? Is it the Southern chapter? And so on and so forth. Because we have to think like that and we scale this. Because as we grow, that's how we get better. And regardless what you guys want to do with this and how you take it forward, you can count on our support at least as Old Mutual. So we're here to support you and see how we can work together as we scale this. Right. So perhaps a good place for me to start is just to tell you a bit about Old Mutual so that the journey makes sense, why we undertook this. Old Mutual is a Pan-African company. We do business in 13 countries, Zimbabwe being one of the 13. South Africa, that's where our head office is, and our largest operation. We've got a very big size of operation here in Zim, but South Africa is bigger than us. So we are a 177-year-old company, and someone once described us as an elephant, a big one, but now the elephant is being agile, it's moving fast. So that's one of the reasons we have undertaken this journey. So what you find is we want to be as agile as possible, we want to be as fast as possible, we want to be future fit, that's a big one for our IT strategy. So that's why we made a strategic decision to move to the cloud, so that we can be future fit, we can be agile, we can be, we create applications that fault tolerant, that are performant, that scale, all those nice things. So as a result, about 3 years ago, we had an aggressive target to shut down all our data centers. And I'm speaking even of South African data centers. If you have had the occasion to visit our head office in Cape Town, if you can just envision how big that data center is, and we are shutting it down, all the workloads are moving to the cloud. That's a massive undertaking, right? But yeah, I think we're winning. One of the reasons is we wanted to clear our technical debt. So as you'd expect, we do have a lot of legacy systems. My boss, the CIO in South Africa, he always used to say, one of his favorite phrases when he talks about this is we're unshackling ourselves from heritage. It's a bit of a strong word, yeah, but that's the word he uses. We're unshackling ourselves from heritage. So that's why this is important for us to do that. So why cloud? First one is the ability to scale, obviously. The second one, as Terence introduced me, being a lead in IT, one of the things that occupies my mind is our TCO, total cost of ownership. I need to keep that low as possible. And besides, I also have a responsibility to make sure systems are up, or as my colleagues say, we need to keep the lights on, right? But Forex is a bit of a challenge in Zim, and sometimes I need to get the service up, but we don't have the service Forex readily available to invest in some of those. I remember a couple of years ago, we were looking at a huge bill for one of our engineered platforms. We need to buy more storage, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I mean, if you're on the cloud, you can just scale up or down depending on need. But we didn't have that luxury. We have to look at importing those things, delivery, the supply chain issues. They are even more pronounced now, war, COVID, and so on and so forth. So you're talking about a long time, and the businesses, they demand service from me. I mean, they don't really care how we do it, really. So, but as long as we keep our costs down, so that's where the TCO comes in. So we then switch our costs from capital expenditure, that's the cost of buying all those expensive hardware, and we move them to OPEX. That's what that's the benefit of being on the cloud. Security. People seem to think that we are less secure when we move our workloads to the cloud. I see it a bit differently because, I mean, we're talking of people who spend millions of dollars, a lot of experts trying to secure the cloud. So if anything, I actually think we are more secure on the cloud than on some of the on-prem data centers that I've seen. So that's another big one for us. Performance, I've already mentioned this. We need systems that perform. But as I spoke about heritage, as you would expect, I'm sure you've already worked it out in your minds that we've got, we had to use a lift and shift, right, from the data centers into the cloud. Obviously, end state for us would be cloud native applications. But of course, we can't get there yet because we've got a lot of legacy systems. So hence, lift and shift made sense for some of our workloads. But the new ones, definitely cloud native. Agility, reusability. I mean, I can speak all day on those. I won't cover them today. How has been our journey? Yeah, I spoke briefly about Old Mutual at large. Old Mutual and Zim, we've got a life business called Omlak. We've got a general insurance business called Omiko. We've got an investment or asset management company called Omig. And we've got a bank. I'm sure you know CABS, right? Right, so the reason I'm telling you that is because we've got different regulators, like the securities regulator, we've got IPEC for the insurance and pensions, and we've got the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe for the bank. So they've got a different view on regulation. So regulation has been a big thing for us. In some ways, we need to walk the journey with the regulators so that they can permit us to move some of those workloads to the cloud. We've been successful with others. A good chunk of our OMZIL, that Old Mutual Zimbabwe Limited workload, are actually currently on the cloud as we speak, because we've already got the approval. And the others were still in active discussions with our regulators. Why is this important? Well, we are a very regulated, we're a heavily regulated company. We are we are the biggest financial services group in the country. So anything happens, it's a big deal for the country. So that's why we are heavily regulated like that. So some of the things that I had a chat with Collins earlier. One of the things that we have been looking at is things like outposts. This is just simply means Amazon. Within our data centers, we can run AWS services from our data center. Not yet available in Zim. Some of my colleagues in East Africa, like Kenya, there, South Africa, there. So hopefully Zimbabwe is the next one. How am I doing for time? Thanks. Yeah, just like you told me I didn't need a presentation. No, I have to respect people's time. That's regulation. I mean, we can speak all day about the regulation and the environment, but I think our customers are better for it that we are heavily regulated, because when we ensure their security, safety, privacy, because things like data sovereignty and localization, those are a big thing. We find in East Africa, they actually have a written law that Kenyan citizens' data cannot leave the geographic borders of Kenya. What does that tell you? That cloud is not an option for them, right? Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons why Amazon decided to outpost with Kenya at the start. South Africa has got something similar, but because a lot of data centers for Amazon, Microsoft are actually geographically located in South Africa, it makes it easy for them. Our regulators, for the most part, they've actually asked us, we have had conversations with them, and they see some of these things our way, and we think our customers are better for it. So they've actually permitted us, and we do have a good number of our workloads on them. I think at the right time, we can actually share some of these case studies, because I think they can benefit some of you just to see them. And you can actually see where you can play and how we can work together, which is the other part that I said we want to have a conversation, because I want to have a chat with you as well to see how we can work together. Performance. I was speaking to one of my colleagues, he's the IT executive for Old Mutual Malawi recently. Ever since they moved their stuff to the cloud, they have achieved the holy grail, really. Something that we are close to ourselves. In fact, we are there on some others, but not on others. They have achieved the 5 nines, the 999.9999 success rate on the transactions and uptime, the 5 nines. It's a big deal, and I mean, that's what the cloud gives you, performance systems, and yeah. The other one, I'm still on how our journey has been. Another big one has been, this is a new technology, right? At the time, at least when we made the decision, it was about 3 years ago, to really aggressively go for it. We didn't go for, I'm not sure it's the right word, but one of my colleagues called it, we didn't go for vanilla AWS. We use what is called AMS, Amazon Managed Service. It's a subset of AWS, and we're big on it. So what you find is, it was our way of controlling the risk. I mean, I spoke about how big we are in insurance. We're an insurance company, so you know we are averse to risk. So we had to do AMS for, number one, the skills, as well as to enhance, because this capability is still developing in Zim. I'm sure all of you would agree with me. In fact, I saw it when I said how many are experts. I saw a few hands, less than the one Hilda got, which is how many are certified. We accept and understand that it's a capability we're developing, and I hope all of you will actually, when we have this talk again next time, you can all raise your hand, because that's what we want to work towards. So to mitigate that risk, we went for AMS. What does it give us? Skills from Amazon, but also we de-risk our IT environment. So yeah. So how is that been for us? We've had some ups and downs, but I think, like I said, directionally, we are on track. Yeah, I see the hands there, and let me wrap it up. Oh, it was for something different. Sorry. What does the future look like? I think a big one for us would be outposts in Zim. That would be a big one for us. So it means we can run all those cloud services from our own data centers. Number two, regulation. Like I said, I think our regulators have been good to us. We've got a lot of our workloads, like I said earlier, that they've actually allowed us to be on the cloud. So, But if we can be as, we can just agree, like even internally, we've agreed on some parameters or what we call guardrails for how we deploy on the cloud. As long as we operate within those guardrails, I mean, it should be easy for us to deploy. And yeah, and like I said, we actually want to drive to implement technology that makes sense for our customers. Because if we do it right, it means we can be competitive, give our customers good prices across all our lines of businesses, be it banking, insurance, asset management, pensions, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's why I said we do not do technologies just for the sake of it. It has to make sense, and we drive specific customer outcomes, and we want to be as innovative as possible. So those two are actually part of our values at Old Mutual. One of my colleagues says we are obsessed with our customers, and the second one, obviously, is innovation. That's another value of ours. Yeah, these ones are not important for now. So yes, the fun part, I will take questions. Yeah, I see one there and another one. How do you do it? Do you want me to take questions and answer at once, or I can one at a time? Okay. Our DevOps capability. Certainly, it's stronger in some parts of our organization. Now I'm talking at OMO level. Then the Zim one, it's something that we really tried to, we have had to pivot and redefine what DevOps means in our context. I know there's how it is globally and how you define it anywhere and everywhere. We have tried to pivot. So in that sense, after we tried to redefine it, that was 2020, at the back end of 2020 into 2021. I would say it's fairly newish. We are still scaling it up, that capability, and developing it. Are you a DevOps engineer yourself? I see, okay. But like I said, we can have a deeper conversation around it, and yeah. Yeah. You can the one I can ask one at a time. I'm worried that my bundle. Yeah.
So my name is Ronald Njoma. I used to be in IT. Right now I'm outside IT, but I'm coming back in IT. But then when I used to be in IT a few years ago, the biggest challenge with the cloud was the cost of bandwidth, especially the additional bandwidth. Okay. I'm not sure whether that's still an issue, but since they moved to the cloud, how's been your bandwidth budget and expenditure? Then once to stay on bandwidth, what has been the latency like? Are your services hosted in South Africa or in which region? Because usually when